book that turns its pages by itself.
Well, I think the
All
guy
right.
was turning it.
Uh,
The Also, you guys. So Theon is heading to the Argent Grove. Is anyone else going there?
I'm gonna stick with Big Mo.
All right, Mo. What are you doing?
went poopy.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, for the time being, we'll discuss you, Theon. All right. So Theon, you head towards the Argent Grove. And as you step inside, as your foot kind of passes over the small channel of water that's coming out from the small spring embedded in the rock, a creature swoops out from the branches of the Argent Oak,
Guess who's back? Back.
and it shifts form out of that of a red-colored bird into that of an elf that you're fairly familiar with, seeing as you were once a denizen of this village. And you recognize Diranor, and he is the understudy of the druid that normally looks over this grove. As he lands before you and assumes his form, he nods respectfully towards you, and he indicates a small kind of wooden box that's has no lid. It's just open to the top. He asks you to surrender any weapons you have and place them inside here as long as you're going to set foot within the grove.
Okay, I look at him and I tell him that I do cast magic, but I will put my quarterstaff down if so need.
All right, so you set your quarterstaff down, and he's keeping a close eye on you.
Oh, and my daggers.
You set your quarterstaff and daggers down, and he seems to accept that for the time being, and you see him just kind of continue to tend to the grove itself. As you stand here, and in the daylight now, you can see that it is a very, very vibrant and verdant place. The grass is very lush and very thick, but it seems to have been kept to a very thin and well-cropped level. It's not really growing wild. There is a small burbling of the spring as it emits from the rocks that are over to your left-hand side. And you can't help but notice the Argent Oak, this huge tree with these red and silver leaves that are very slowly, one will kind of disconnect and fall every so often. And one of the things that Diranor does is kind of clean up the leaves that are coming off the oak, and you see him collect especially these silver leaves and set them aside.
If I do continue.
No, go say what you were going to say.
If I do recognize who Diranor is, can I ask him that Peleus told me to ask him about my mother?
Diranor stops for a moment, and he thinks, kind of thinking back, you can tell that he's kind of combing through some of his memory. When I last spoke with Elia, she seemed upset. She said she'd been having nightmares. Some force was disrupting her sleep. She did not share many of the details, simply described a rasping, a laugh, I think is what she said. Yes, she would wake at the night with cold sweats, the echo of this rasping laugh in the back of her mind. It had been disrupting her sleep for quite some time. And then there was an attack. It must have been a little more than 2 weeks ago now.
Had the attacks happened prior to her nightmares?
She had only recently told me of them. If there was any correlation, she had not expressed that to me. All I know is, prior to last night, the previous round of incursions resulted in her disappearance. I did not see her again after that.
Okay. I thank him for his time, and I would also, if possible, can I do a nature check or an investigation check on the spring to see if it has any healing properties?
Go ahead and make your nature check.
Yay!
To your knowledge, it's just normal spring water. It's good for you, but it has no magical properties. As you are crossing across the grove after finishing your conversation with Diranor, you glance sidelong at the individual that is sitting in the very center of the grove, and you can see now that she appears to be human. There is very long red hair that runs down out of her shoulders and spilling out of the hood of her robe, as her head is very slightly inclined. She appears to be wearing a kind of leather armor, but other than that is just in seemingly normal clothing. What strikes you as odd is that she is mouthlessly making words, and there's a book in front of her that is flipping pages every so often. And you can see that there is script that appears on a page and then seems to almost sink into its recesses. And then elsewhere, a line or a series of scrawled script will appear and then fade away into the pages again.
I do not bother her. I quickly question just to see really quick if Diranor knows anything about what she's doing.
This one, I have little to go on. She arrived this morning, claiming she wished to commune with a goddess. I was initially uneasy, but she did surrender her weapons as you did. And while there is a sense of magic about her, I do not think that she is a very real threat to this grove. As such, I keep an eye on her.
And
She's
you
been
have
like that since morning.
And you have no real clue at what she's doing, though?
Beyond what she has said, communing, I do not know. I do not recognize the script in this book, or the language that she speaks. It is a dark, dark tongue.
Can I see if I recognize the runic scripts?
Alright, make an investigation check.
It's none of my languages though as well.
It is not one of the languages that you recognize. Oh, it's a good thing you didn't have disadvantage on this. It is not one of the languages that you recognize, no. It appears to use Dwarven script, but some of the letters are of a different configuration than what you've seen, and it's not being used in any way that makes sense as far as Dwarvish is concerned.
Okay.
Like some of the letters are too long, there's too many spaces, and it appears to be a dialect that uses those letters but is not spoken as Dwarvish. It seems much, much older.
Okay. I think that's all I will do in the grove, and then meet back up with party.
Alright, so you head back to the promenade and you reunite with Pedwin,
I pick
Mo,
up my
and
daggers
Nardis,
and my quarterstaff.
and you
before I
collect
go.
your weapons before you leave.
Put on my robe and wizard hat.
I'm gonna have to get a robe and a hat for the next shop that you guys go to, the next magic shop. I'm gonna find a robe and a hat. Alright, are you guys doing anything else? You heading off?
I'm off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Alright, so the group of you heads towards the northern border of the Silver Spear Glades, where the two rivers coming from the east and west seem to merge and continue in a northern direction.
Wait a minute. Are those bodies still there of the fishmen we killed?
No, they appear to have been cleaned up.
Oh,
But as
okay.
you guys are leaving, you do notice that there is kind of an amassment of these corpses, so all of the lizard folk bodies, the remains of the plant monster, the remains of these skeletons, and those kind of desiccated dead hands, all of them seem to be getting piled up. And in a different pile appears to be various elven individuals or people that fell in the defense of the village. Theon, you immediately recognize the face of the ranger that was assigned to you amongst those that are in the Fallen.
Ooh.
Does it look like any of them might be carrying something worth anything?
Are you talking about the elves, or are you talking about the bodies of the creatures?
I'm gonna roll for myself real quick.
You're gonna what?
I'm thinking he's
Deciding how evil he is.
Just the fish creatures, the lizard folk.
Rummaging throughout the contents of the lizard folk, like just various pouches and things like that. Aside from the ring that you collected from one of those hands that attacked you, you managed to find about 4 gold and about 16 silver.
Sweet, I can put that in my inventory.
Yep, you can.
How much silver? 16 silver?
16 silver.
Oh, that's a lot of mass. 28 plus 16, 44. Okay, and I'm gonna put that ring on because I completely forgot I had it.
Okay, you put the ring on. It's
Do
a
I
little bit
feel a
big, but
surge of power.
you do not feel anything out of the ordinary.
Oh, okay.
And you do note that the ring is a pretty wide ring. And
Does it
the
fit on my
hand that you got
thumb
it off,
fine? Does it fit on my thumb fine?
it will fit on your thumb just fine.
I'll put it on my thumb.
All right, you put it on your thumb.
But the left thumb, so it doesn't interfere with my axe swinging hand.
All right, so you put it on your left thumb.
Can I do an Arcana check on it?
Do your Arcana check. The ring does appear to be mundane. There is nothing special about it. But the size of the ruby that is within it, it could definitely be enchanted if it wanted to be done so. Because the materials the ring itself is made of are relatively high quality. It's mostly silver with, a decent size, maybe penny-sized ruby embedded within it. But it doesn't appear to have any magical properties, no. You do recognize that it's not of elvish design, though.
Interesting.
And Morris, as you're putting it on, you think it's strange that a ring of that size, how it doesn't fit any of your fingers, but it does fit your thumb, but it doesn't fit any finger. It's a little bit too big a ring for those.
That's kind of odd.
How big were those hands?
In the case of the hand that Morris pulled the ring from, the fingers themselves were relatively short and stubby, but very thick, and the hand itself was quite broad.
Interesting. As far as the pile of bodies goes, do I know if my ranger friend was carrying anything of a unique value or something important to the mission?
You can check on his body, but that's going to be kind of tough, seeing as it's being overlooked by another individual, an elven individual.
Okay, can I go up to the elven individual and do a persuasion check and ask him if I could? I was on a mission, and I believe he had some stuff for a mission.
All right, make your persuasion check. It's pretty good persuasion.
Yeah, I've got a lot of bonus
Bonus ducks.
bonus charisma.
Bonus ducks!
Fucking bonus ducks.
He rolled a 4. Okay. You successfully managed to persuade this individual to let you investigate the corpses of some of the rangers.
I just want to investigate the one. But I
Okay,
can
well-
do all of them if I need.
Then make an investigation roll.
It's sweet. Oh, fuck. Yeah!
Ah, shit.
Fuck yeah.
As you are looking through some of the different pockets and belongings of these different individuals, you do come across a piece of blank paper that is in an envelope. Everything is unmarked. and you, or what's collected with this individual, you can't get the robe, or you can't get the armor that they're wearing, but there is a bow that lays at their side that is wrought of a very fine wood, but it has almost like a blue-gray kind of blanching to it. So the wood's not dead, but it is very distinctly colored this way. And as you pick it up, you definitely get the sense that there is some kind of arcane property to it. And along with that bow, there is a quiver of arrows.
Nice.
The heads of the arrows are very reminiscent of the axe that Morris is carrying on his back.
Ooh.
And there's about 12 of them.
Damn.
What's being carried on my back?
No, nothing's being
no.
carried on your back. At the side of this elf that...
The quivers are tipped with the same kind of effect that your axe has.
Oh.
And you've also found this bow. It's like a short bow.
Anything on the ranger that I was traveling with?
You found that blank piece of paper.
Oh, the blank piece of paper. Okay. I would like to, I guess, continue back to the party with the bow, the quiver of arrows, and the blank piece of paper, and say thank you to the guard.
The guard is in the middle of investigating something else and doesn't actually see you leave with these items. You imagine he would probably have something to say if he saw you walking away with the like a weapon of one of their agents, but he's not looking at the moment.
I continue walking anyway. I have plans for it, and I think it could help.
Alrighty. So the group of you are... do you guys, and anyone else want to look at the bodies, or are you guys going to head... Or what are you going to do next?
I'll look at him, but I won't walk up to him.
You look them up and down real good.
Yes.
You said the bow does have some kind of the magical properties.
Yes, it does.
Do I know what these are, or do I have to do another Arcana check?
You are familiar enough with the Gladeborn that you've heard that when they strike, that some of their arrows do incredible damage, and you've seen them knock people right off of their feet. And it's not something that is very well publicized, but you happen to have enough knowledge of the Gladeborn to know that this is a property that their weapons seem to carry. And that is just, you've seen these things deliver an excessive amount of punch.
Oh yeah.
As I'm walking back to the party, I look over to Mindartus.
We're not partying. We're just standing there waiting for you.
Okay, anyway, I go back to Mindartus because he's shown to be unaggressive. And I ask him to take a look at it to see if he would like to use the bow and the quiver of arrows.
You hand over the bow and the quiver of arrows, and you see him pull one of the arrows out and investigate it very closely. He examines the fletching on the arrows and kind of tests their balance and seems reasonably satisfied. And you see him, he takes the bow and maneuvers it around, and you can already see that the fact that he's quite adept with these weapons and how easily he maneuvers it. He notches one of his own arrows on the bow and draws it back, and then unnotches the arrow, and you can see that he's just getting kind of familiarized with it. And he'll probably have to play around with it a little longer before he understands what the properties of it are, but he looks at you and with a very sincere, "Thank you," takes the bow and the quiver of arrows.
Yeah.
Alright, what are you guys doing next?
Onward and upward.
I'm
Where are you going,
partying
though?
with Mo.
I'm not partying. We were gonna head down river, right? Follow the stream.
Yes.
So I guess we'll walk up to the river.
All right. You guys head up to the river.
With my survival skills, I'll pass on a raft for us to ride down it on.
As we walk, I want to look in my book of Dangerous Magic and see if there's anything root related.
As you are flipping through the book, you come across an entry that's all about different kinds of plants and their properties. And you do recognize the term wandering root, which was mentioned earlier in one of the stores. And as you're flipping through these pages, you encounter an entry on wandering root. And it appears to have some psychoactive properties and has been known to exert influence on surrounding living matter.
I'm gonna
So
take a couple steps away from Big Mo.
You take a couple of steps away from Big Mo. There's a fairly limited study on what the effects are, but there does seem to be a very well established trend of this root impacting other tissue that's in close proximity to.
Nice job.
Well,
Okay, so you're at the foot of the river, and Morris, you said you're going to make a survival check.
I was gonna try to make a raft for us to float down the river on.
All right, make yourself a survival check. Mindardus is going to make one too.
Did I roll?
You
Let's see.
did.
Did I? I didn't hear
Yep,
it
you
go.
got an 18.
Sweet.
I didn't hear it either.
So the Mindardus is busy trying to look for tracts and marks or any kind of indication of what he got a pretty good look at last night, and is only successful in finding, mostly disturbed indications of where the rafts were shored. While all this is going on, Morris has taken his axe to some nearby wood and is basically just kind of bodged together in about, I'm going to say it takes around 20 or so minutes. With the help of a few other people, they kind of bind together and you create a makeshift raft. It's not terribly sturdy, but it'll probably carry you at least for a little while. So you are standing in front of your makeshift raft.
I'll invite everyone to get aboard. All aboard!
I'm just gonna walk down the river beside it.
Mindardus pipes up, I'm going to do that too.
Okay, suit yourself. I'll jump on the raft and start riding it.
All right, so you jump on the raft and push off with your foot from the shore as it slowly begins to make its way along the river.
I'm gonna lay on my back and be relaxed. Arms
You lay on
behind
your
my
back.
head.
And the sun beats down on you and warming your body as you just lay out there stretched, the raft gently rocking and bobbing left and right. You can hear the footfalls of Mindardus and Pedwin as they walk along the shoreline,
As well as I.
and Theon just behind them. The three of you looking over every so often at the sight of the stretched out Morris, who seems to be really enjoying his little ride here. Morris, make a Constitution saving throw.
Where did he board the boat at? Was it right here?
It was right at the fork of the river.
Oh, right at the fork of the river. Okay.
Yeah, so right here.
So how are we walking along the river? Like, are we?
That's actually what I was going to ask you. Are you guys on the eastern or the western side of the river?
Oh damn. Well, my brain wants to tell me that the eastern side of the river might be safer just because the map ends faster.
Well, I haven't prepped any map for further down the river. Where it's going to be all verbal description from this point forward.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask Pedwin what he thinks. Which way we should head on.
I'm gonna do a headstand real quick.
All right. Bedouin, instead of responding to the question of Theon, doesn't even break stride. It's just walking and then puts one foot forward and then both hands. Theon, for a moment, you're concerned that Pedwin tripped on something and is now going to faceplant. But he very deftly and smoothly brings his feet over his head, pausing for a brief moment at a perfectly vertical, perpendicular to the ground position.
I sit back and watch because I'm not sure if he's like preparing or trying like a new yoga pose and meditating.
Is there anything specific that I remember a rune? Maybe not a rune. That I remember the friendly, semi-friendly lizard folk wearing.
You can recall a series of different charms. There is one that, in particular, that stood out to you. It was a small symbol of. It was an egg that was emblazoned or that was kind of tied with a makeshift rope that was kept within a small loop of wood, and that was bound with a thin cord of leather around his neck.
Locate object.
All right, so you locate object on this necklace and pendant you recall seeing. Okay, object within 1,000 feet of you. All right, so about a kilometer. No, that's less than a kilometer.
Yeah, less than a kilometer.
Okay, so as you reach the pinnacle of your handstand, your consciousness is thrown vertically upwards, well into the air, and you can see for far around you. You can see the distinctive dark green trees of the Silver Spear Glade, along with the tuft of red and silver of the Argent Oak. You can see the myriad of different greens of all the various deciduous trees of the forest, the coniferous ones, the grove. And as your awareness keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, you, just on the very, very edge of your perception, in a northeastern direction, your mind snaps to very clear focus of that object, and you immediately see it sitting around the neck of that lizard folk. And the lizard folk itself appears to be curled up on a broad, flat rock, and his breathing is very slow and even, eyes are shut, and it just appears to be snoozing on a rock out in the sunlight at the very, very edge of your sensation in a very northeast direction.
I come out of my handstand and point in that direction and say, "That way!"
Theon, as you see Pedwin, the pink-haired gnome, go up into his handstand, and he inhales sharply as he hits the top of his handstand, and then on the way down pivots adeptly and lands both feet down, striking a stance, pointing his finger out in one direction, and says, "That way!" And then you see him take off faster than you thought gnome legs would carry a gnome.
On which side of the river?
It's on the eastern side of the river.
The eastern side, okay. So how did we cross the river?
Well, I'll
it's not
say
that
for the sake
wide.
of brevity, it wouldn't have been that. It was only like 10, 12 feet.
Okay, so like we're like right there now.
Am I
Yeah,
still on
you
my
guys would be
raft?
on the east. Well, a little bit of time has passed now, so it's been almost like an hour or so. So you guys have left the Silver Spear Glade, the Silver Spear Glades behind. Morris, you very nearly fall asleep in the serene rocking motion and the warm sunshine on your face of your raft ride. And you can't help but notice that you're traveling a little faster than you were a little while ago. The speed of the river seems to have picked up slightly.
Am I still alongside my companions?
You are still alongside your companions, but their path is starting to slowly diverge from yours. It's
I
not
guess-
very far. You can still see them.
I'll just hop off the raft and follow them, I guess.
Okay, you're in the middle of a river that's you got about 15 feet on either side of you.
Okay.
So you're gonna hop off the raft.
Yeah, and try to follow him.
All right, so you hop off the raft. I need you to make an athletics check to swim to the shore. Not a problem. Man of your size and strength, you're able to churn through the water and haul yourself up onto the edge of the riverside and then up the small slope until you're on the same elevation as the rest of your party, and you pull yourself up and hurry after them, water dripping off your form. As you descend into some of the shade of the trees, the coolness of the breeze hits you a little bit, but you are tough enough to handle that. This is a minor discomfort.
You guys missed a beautiful raft ride.
You hear a resounding crack as the raft bumps into a rock and then breaks into several pieces. And you can see the detritus as it continues to flow down the river with an increasing speed now. It's traveling faster than you would probably feel comfortable on the raft, seeing as you didn't have any control of where it was going.
I saw that coming, that's why I jumped off.
Yup. All right. So yeah.
Quite in the middle of the day, correct? It's not like nighttime right out or anything.
No,
like that.
it's probably just before noon now.
Okay.
So as you are all moving inwards, you're kind of heading in the general direction that Pedwin requested. Pedwin, I need you to make a survival check with advantage because Mindardus is going to help you.
What a nice guy.
Wasn't disadvantaged.
So Mindardus's knowledge of the layout of the forest and your knowledge of where this object is, the two of you are able to kind of find a bit of a meandering path as you are continuing northward through the forest. Or I'm going to say like north-northeast. The river slowly comes back into view, but it's still a ways off in the distance. You can more hear it rather than see it. And as you are climbing in and amongst the different trees, there are the occasional chatter of birds and small animals, insects, as they respond to your presence. You notice that the foliage is getting a little bit more dense, and there are also more and more kind of ferns and shrubs and small plants that only come up to around 2 or 3 feet off the ground. So not a big impediment for most people, but somebody of Pedwin's height, they're starting to form enough of a barrier that it's harder to see forward through the forest. You're just kind of relying on your locate object spell, which lasts for 10 minutes. There it is. So as the spell is beginning to fade out, the group of you manage to come out upon a path itself, and it's not a very well-worn path. It's starting to be overgrown, and you notice that despite the fact that this path is not terribly well maintained, there are signs of recent travel. There are broken branches and what appears to be plant life that's been trampled not too long ago. I'm going to have everyone make an investigation check.
This is one path we're on.
Oh, come on.
What a path.
This
Okay,
path is
Mindardus
amazing.
Mindardus is definitely our investigator.
So as everyone is taking a look at some of these different the different aspects of the surroundings, Mindardus is able to pick out tracks of footfalls and can see, based on the pattern of disruption with different branches and disturbed plant life, that there is a general motion. And walking through this, there was a series of heavy footfalls that leave the tracks of a lizard folk, and there is something heavy that's been dragged behind them that then disrupted the tracks. And then new, somewhat fresher lizard folk tracks have been placed over top of that. This only appears to be a singular individual. whereas before there was a group. So Mindardus relates all this information to the rest of the group, saying that there was at one point a group of lizard folk and then a singular one following them several hours later. And they all appear to be heading in the direction that, despite that the spell is starting to fade out now, but it appears to be in the direction that was indicated to Pedwin.
That way.
So the group continues on. And you come out to a clearing. And as you're following this path, you gradually see the light increasing further ahead of you. And as you make through a break in the trees, some of your clothing getting caught on bramble, which has started to slowly show up in this region of the forest. You also notice that the trees are becoming less dense. They're a little bit more sparse. And the earth is becoming a little bit less fertile and rich. The grass is becoming shorter and a little bit more brown as you guys are making further and further progress. It's been about 2-3 hours now since you've left the village. It's pushing around 2 p.m. And the sound of the water has now built into what sounds more like rapids than a river, because you can hear a lot of sloshing and turbulent water, and it also appears that more water is funneled into this river and is really starting to churn now. At the far end of the clearing is a large, broad, flat rock, and curled up on that is a mottled green figure with a white head. And curled up in a very small ball right inside and kind of like pressed up against the chest of the larger lizard folk is a tiny lizard folk pup. And the two of them appear to be snoozing rather peacefully on this rock.
You said there was an adult and a pup?
Yeah, there's an adult and a child.
Do we recognize either of them?
You recognize them both as the child that got knocked into the water, or the lizard folk child that jumped into the water to try and save his friend, and the adult lizard folk that did help you guys save Rael.
And they're sleeping?
And they're sleeping.
Let's walk up to them quietly and surround the rock.
All right, everybody make a stealth check. Well, is that what you guys are doing?
That's what I'm doing.
I'm just gonna walk up normally.
All right. Morris, make a stealth check.
I guess I'm walking up.
Well, no, you said you were trying to stealth up, so you're stealthing up.
Well, given that roll, I guess I'm just walking up.
You said, oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. My big honking footsteps. Good thud, good thud.
I thought.
So as the group of you are moving forward towards the rock, you see the tail of the lizard folk that you saw. It twitches momentarily, and then as you all look, you can see one eye has opened up and is staring at the group of you as you approach, and it seems to dart back and forth amongst the four of you. And then you
I'm gonna
see
put
him.
my hands up as I approach
He
to show
lifts-
I mean no harm.
All right. Morris raises his hands over his head in a gesture of kind of showing that he has no hostile intent.
I learned that one in the army.
The lizard folk himself rears up now and brings himself up to his normal height, and you see him wake the child that's at his side. And you see the boy is not quite aware of the situation, and he just yawns this really, really big yawn, and you hear almost like this kind of hissing yawn, and then the clomp of his jaws shutting loudly as he stretches out both arms, and then suddenly becomes aware of the four individuals that are in front of him, and he slinks back behind the larger lizard folk and clasps onto his leg.
Anybody
You hear-
speak lizard?
Theon speaks Draconic, and so does Mindardus.
Actually, I
So
don't. I don't And I just cast understand languages. What's it called?
All right. Cast comprehend languages.
Comprehend languages. Pew pew.
Now that allows you to understand what people are said. It doesn't allow you to speak languages, right?
I'm gonna yell out, "Do you speak common?" in the common language.
So you're gonna yell out in common. Do you speak common?
Yes, but my face is not gonna be angry.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I thought.
Okay. So
I thought
you'll understand the language.
yeah, I thought it let me speak. Never mind then. Don't cast it.
All right. I'm gonna let it slide this time. But if you say you do something, you've done it.
Yeah, I didn't understand the spell until just now.
Okay.
When I
All right. I'll let it slide.
cast
But
it,
going
to try to
forward.
understand it.
Okay. So. All right. So you don't. So Theon and Mindardus both. You recognize the speech of this creature, and it puts up one hand, and you just hear it say, "Hold."
I really quickly tell everybody else to stay away.
Didn't it say that in common?
It didn't say anything in common. It didn't respond to your question in common.
Yeah, I guess I'll stop moving.
All right, everyone stops. The lizard folk then looks at all of you, and it pauses momentarily, looking at Pedwin. You can see its eyes kind of glare a little bit, and then widen out again.
I wave with my hand that has the fireball in it, and then I look at it and I wave with the other hand.
I speak quickly to him. He means you no harm. As do all of us.
The lizard folk responds with, "I judge if no harm. You follow. Why?"
We are searching for lost people that have been kidnapped.
He ponders to himself for a moment. "I know where people go, taken by tribe."
Just what is this, Mumbo Jumbo from Banjo Kazooie? Kombokai.
You go, save people, fight tribe. Yes.
We would like to, yes. We are needing to know where they have went so we can go rescue everybody. Did they take somebody from you as well?
No take me. No take him. And he indicates to the boy that's clasped onto his leg. Is why we must go. Tribe is not same. New king. Angry. Make us attack the elves. The smooth skin. I no wish harm smooth skin. We go.
You say you have no king anymore. What happened to your king?
Never king. Before. One born. Many moons before. Takes control from shaman. Makes tribe violent. Angry. Before is peace. Is good. Tribe survive. Now, tribe at war. Tribe fight each other. Fight smooth skin. So we go.
I look at everybody else and I say he wants us to follow and go help him rescue the kidnappers in his tribe, and I relay all the other information.
Okay.
I relay back to him and I say, talked it over and we will go and help.
The lizard folk stops and thinks to himself for a moment, and then looks out over across the clearing and towards a region of the forest that the group of you haven't been to yet. He looks back at Pedwin.
You. With fire. You, like the ugly one, the smooth skin.
I got
And with this,
nothing.
he's actually stepping forward and he's moving towards Pedwin as he's saying these things, pointing towards him.
He said you with the fire, the ugly one. Who's the ugly one?
Are you asking him?
I'm asking you on what you're talking about because it's kind of hard to understand on fully of what's going on.
You're asking like me as a DM.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So from what you've gathered, the lizard folk is asking if Pedwin is associated with this other person that he's referred to as the ugly one.
He wants to know if you are with, I guess Mo.
Wait, are you calling me ugly?
You
Yep.
don't know that I'm saying that. I'm
Well-
speaking in Draconic.
Oh, you're still speaking to. Okay.
Oh wait, no, I guess I am speaking in common to
The
you.
monk. Well, no, if you're speaking to him, then the monk says
No.
and then points to a different region of the forest. He points directly to the east of where you guys are.
That way. Ugly one. Shape change. Not always smooth skin. Smells of death.
Oh. He
Not
wants
with
to.
her.
He wants to know if you are with a shapeshifter on the other side of the river. I'll tell him that you aren't and that you've been with us.
What's the shapeshifter shift into?
I ask him if he knows anything about the shapeshifter and what he looks like at this point in time.
I want to know what he turns into.
Can shapeshifters not just turn into anything?
It depends
They-
on the
they-
kind of shifter.
But don't they have still multiple forms?
Well, the lizard folk he responds to your question.
Okay.
This one. Many forms. Many smooth skins. Always smells of death. This one.
And then he points to Pedwin.
Same.
And he brings up the hand, and the lizard folk kind of raises his hand and then points towards the flaming hand of Pedwin.
Same.
You think Pedwin smells of death?
No. This one wields the fire.
From what you gather, he's trying to indicate that this shifter is a magic user.
Okay, and he just shit. Well, shit, man.
I'm gonna
At this
cast
point,
comprehend languages.
Well, at this point, he just kind of sighs in frustration.
You follow. We find tribe after. Come.
And
Okay, never mind.
he dives off and on all fours just kind of skitters off in like far or directly to the east and disappears down a different path.
I look at everybody else and I say, "Let's go follow him."
Okay.
All right, so the group of you follow him.
Yes.
All right, so the lizard folk, it's kind of tough to keep up with him because he's moving through areas that he's very familiar with, and the rest of you are less so. Thankfully, due to the favored terrain of Mendardis, your progress is not slowed very much. And the group of you, as you're proceeding further and further to the east, you're noting that some of the changes you saw before in the vegetation are becoming much more pronounced. So the trees themselves are more stunted in their growth, and they're becoming a lot more gnarled and twisted. The bark much more robust and hardened. There is fewer and fewer birds and animals, and an increasing number of lizards and insects as you guys are getting further and further into this increasingly dark part of the forest. About 2 hours pass.
Hey, I'll be right back. I really have to go to the bathroom.
Okay,
Like,
we're
I
gonna
might
wrap
piss
up
my
soon.
pants. Oh, okay.
But
I
no,
can
go,
wait.
go.
Okay, cool. Holy shit. Oh, crap.
It is really hard to understand you when you're talking like that.
I'm
I
sorry.
disagree.
Well, I'm like not out of it, but I guess it's just I don't know. Weird, I guess. Hey, my wisdom and intelligence is not that high. I'm playing my character.
Well, it was never going to be like. This is not a particularly talkative creature from what you guys have gathered,
Yeah.
so it was always going to be a challenge to get some of this information.
So what were you thinking he was saying then, Joe?
I have no opinions because I never got any information from you.
Oh, man, I thought I was going to piss my pants.
You've told us this.
You've had to pee like every half hour.
Drinking the alcohols, man.
That's what I was going to say.
Probably.
All right, so your group follows this lizard folk, and you're heading east and further east, and you've been going for a couple of hours now. There's been a bit of a northern slant on where you've been going, which is also coincided with the change in vegetation and location. And you were definitely noting that you're no longer in the swamp. The river that you guys followed here has long since left sight, and you've had to scale down a few cliff faces. Actually, let's do some generalized checks. Can I get either an athletics or an acrobatics check, and a Constitution saving throw from everybody?
Fuck. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, you wanted both the athletics or acrobatics and the constitution, right?
I wanted athletics or acrobatics and a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, cool.
So that was a 21 that you rolled for acrobatics, Bedwin?
Yep.
Nice. All right, so as the group of you reach what is more of a cliff face, as you note the lizard folk is rather adeptly jumping from rock to rock and making pretty smooth landings of the whole thing. As you're doing this, you're noting that this creature is very, very agile and seems to have absolutely no difficulty navigating the rather treacherous pathway. And the group of you has to... Well, Pedwin is not daunted by this task at all and basically perfectly mirrors this leaping routine that the lizard folk has undergone, landing at the foot of the cliff faster than anybody else on the way down.
Do I match his speed?
Well, we're going to get to you in a second. So Pedwin then jumps off the last rock, and how do you want to finish this off, Pedwin?
A little bit of hand walking.
All right, so he jumps off the final rock, does a front tuck, lands, and then again smoothly without skipping a beat, lands on his feet and then transfers to his hands, walking in a circle around the lizard folk on his hands. The pup, the lizard folk boy, you see him clapping, and like he's rolling around on his back and he's clapping his hands together, and you can hear this kind of raspy sound that's almost like a laugh, and followed by the clomp of the jaws over and over and over again. The cliff face itself, Morris decides that, you know what, he's got this, and he doesn't even use his legs. He just arm over arm descends this thing, and before he reaches the bottom at the end, he just kind of hangs out with one arm, catching a view, does a couple of one-armed chin-ups, and then just drops down, landing with a hard impact sound into the ground.
Yeah.
Mindardus manages to hop down the rocks, similarly to Pedwin. However, not making quite the same flourish on his landing, just hitting down and actually providing a bit of a landing pad for his cat that is also following down after him. Theon comes to the top of the rock face and decides that he won't be able to match Morris's display of strength, and so starts hopping down from rock to rock. Near the bottom, though, there's about 2 left. His footing slips on one of the takeoffs, and he doesn't quite make it to the other one. So make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Rip.
Are you taking? Oh, okay. Dexter. Oh, never mind.
He tries to grab onto one of the rocks, and his grip slips off. He actually lands on Mindardus, who previously was there to try and provide a bit of a landing pad for his cat, and turns out to provide a landing pad for Theon as well. Both of you, actually, here, I'm gonna roll this, and you guys are gonna hear it because you're gonna hear it hit my desk. Here we go.
There we go.
Okay, so Theon, you take 10 points of bludgeoning damage.
Holy shit!
Are you almost dead now?
Just about again.
I rolled pretty high for the 2d6 for the fall damage. And Mindardus is going to take 4 points.
You guys haven't been able to find out already. I'm a bit clumsy.
So Theon gets up and dusts off his robes and manages to kind of straighten out his back a little bit.
Does he don his cape and wizard hat?
I have a sorcerer hat.
Do you have a sorcerer hat? Describe to me your sorcerer hat. I didn't know you had made this part of your character.
The sorcerer hat's invisible. It just, yeah.
All right, so you straighten your invisible sorcerer's hat. You got to kind of paw around. On the
I
ground
don't
a little
actually
bit for
have
it. All right, so you straighten yourself up and you kind of smile awkwardly as you rejoin the rest of the group. The pup on the ground has started just rolling back and forth now. He's not even clapping anymore. He's just got his hands on his stomach, and you can hear him. He's actually gasping a little bit, and he's trying to catch his full breath. However, the exertion does take its toll on Pedwin and Morris, and the group has to rest for an hour at the foot of the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
So this would also count as a short rest if you wanted to use any hit dice.
Yeah.
All right.
Here go my hit dice. Yeah.
Oh, that's... Oh.
Yeah. I get 11 back. Fuck yeah, man. So back at full.
All right, so it's the sun has since begun to pass behind or is nearing the tree line in the western horizon. Where you guys or the party is currently sitting at the foot of a waterfall that is the collection of many tributaries that flow down from the eastern direction. The forest itself is situated on a very, very gradual gradient coming down from the south, where there is. It's not a mountain, but it is definitely a higher elevation. You can see the trees eventually give way to a tree line and then rock with a very small amount of kind of barren landscape at the very top of the hill. And it travels downwards, and it's from this elevation that the tributaries are flowing, and they gradually amass into this waterfall that is coming down on the... I'm trying to picture this. Well, you know what? It's not important for me to draw. Your group is currently sitting on a small plateau of land that is just off to the left of the waterfall itself, which isn't a huge amount of water, but it is creating a stream that then flows out in front of you and continues following the gradient downwards in a northern direction towards where, as you can look out over it now, you see that there are still trees, but they are just more pronounced examples of the vegetation you've seen so far. So the leaves are a little bit more thin, they're a little bit more broad, they're more of a gnarled kind of look to them. There are also, you can see patches of bramble and thicket that look like they would be, it's going to take some effort to try and get through that. You can see small animals that are darting between some of the bushes, and you can hear the call of different birds of prey and owls as the time passes, as the group slowly recovers their energy. During this time, Mindardus has been examining the gray shortbow that he received from Theon. And as he notches an arrow and is practicing his accuracy, he exhales for a moment and concentrates briefly. And you see, let's see, what are your passive perceptions?
Me?
Everybody.
Passive perception?
Yeah.
14.
Like the modifier? Okay, 9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, 9. Morris?
Wait, how do you get that?
It's at the
It's
top
the
of your
blue
character
box.
sheet.
Oh!
Four-
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah,
Top
it
of
is
your
at the top of the
character
character sheet. P-Perk,
14.
the blue box.
Mine's 14.
Okay. Alright, so 14, 14, and 9. Alright, so... Yeah?
I think I'm just under skills and the number in blue.
The number in blue beside
The modifier.
perception.
Like
Not
to
the
your
modifier.
Right, to the
Yeah,
right
okay,
of
The modifier's
XP,
in green.
right?
I'm talking about the smaller blue box.
Yep, 9. Okay, 9.
Okay.
You're talking about the number to the right of XP, right?
It's in two places.
Yeah, I'm talking to the number to the right of XP. That's passive perception.
Okay. Yeah, 14.
Okay. So, Theon, you are startled by the sound of wood snapping. And you turn on a heel to see one of the nearby trees that is already dead, which there are an increasing number as you guys look further to the south and kind of all around you at this lower elevation at the foot of the waterfall. You can see the top portion of it actually splinter apart. And Mindardus, the arrow that he's loosed from his bow, and Pedwin and Morris are able to see this. It briefly shimmers, and a small blue aura appears and seems to emanate out of this arrow before it is loosed from the bow and slams into this piece of wood, doing the damage that then creates the noise that startles Theon. And you can see even Mindardus himself is a little taken aback and shocked at what just happened. The bow itself seems to glow and then dim ever so slightly at the end of this 1 hour period that you guys have taken to catch up on some of your energy at the foot of the waterfall. The time is around 5 p.m. and you'll need to decide what you're going to do.
What does Mr. Lizard have to say?
The lizard hasn't come back yet.
Wait, where'd he go?
He was... Oh, no, he is still here. He's at the foot of the waterfall. That's right. So the lizard then kind of looks around, and he takes 2 big sniffs of the air, and he turns back to the assembled group.
Here. We stay. Otherwise, tribe territory.
And he points to the south. So again, Theon and Medardus are the only ones understanding this.
I'm gonna get Mendardus to interpret for me.
Very well. Medardus starts interpreting for you, and he's translating as the lizard folk is speaking. Morris, do you want to listen in?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so the 2 of you hear as Medardus begins to translate.
Tribe. This way.
As he points to the south.
The shifter. Dangerous. That way.
And he points over to the east of where you guys are. So it's a different direction entirely, and there are more of these thickets, and the canopy of the forest in the area he's indicating is more lush, and it is more thick, but it cuts out light as a result, and it is currently very, very shadowed inside of there, where the air seems very still.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Locate Object on something that Arun had, if I can remember.
The last time that you saw Urun, he was not really wearing much of great distinguishment. I mean, because you do have that very, very good recall of details, you can think of particular bits of clothing, but there was nothing that really stood out on Urun as distinct. So you could look for the clothing, certainly, but it's not... Well, yeah, so you could look for the clothing. But you'll need to specify the object that you're trying to locate.
I'm gonna look for whatever clothes I saw him in last.
Okay.
I cast away.
All right, and are you going to do another handstand or anything else?
Just one leg. Just standing on one leg.
All right.
Karate
So
Kid.
the group...
The Karate Kid.
So it's like out in front of you with the knee bent?
Yep.
Do you have your arms out to the sides with the fingers pointing down? Okay, so full-on crane stance?
Yep.
All right, so the party notices Pedwin as he hops up on top of a nearby tree stump and
Oh
stands
god,
up
here we go again.
and raises one leg and both arms out to the sides, bending at the knee and bending both wrists so they kind of droop down at the ends. The sunlight being cast, the setting sun coming over the edge of the tree line as it follows the elevation back up further to the west. The rays coming down, casting themselves over Pedwin, the light illuminating one half of his face, the other half in shadow, and his awareness once again is vaulted vertically into the air, up past the waterfall, up past the trees that mark the path that the party took for the last several hours, venturing through the forest. And his awareness expands outwards, picturing the clothing, trying to recall the details of what they look like, the black shirt, the boots, anything that Pedwin can recall from Arun's physical appearance. And there is a sense of something that matches that description. It's very faint, though. It's very weak. And it's not that it's very far away. In fact, it's about 80% of the range of the spell, directly to the east. But there is something about it that's not very distinct. It's hard to pin down the exact location. It's somewhere between 700 to 800 feet away. But your mind does not resolve any distinct image of it like it did with the lizard folk earlier today, the last time you cast this spell. You had a very clear and distinct idea of what it was, what the setting was, and the general direction. This is much, much more vague.
Okay.
And Pedwin's consciousness then is drawn backwards to his physical form, and for a moment he perceives himself on the stump, holding this stance, unmoving, even though the wind blows his hair out to one side, and thinks to himself, God, I'm cool, and then just coalesces back inside of his body and hops down from the stump.
At which point I would yell, "That was pretty lame."
Your face is
The
pretty
words by
lame.
Pedwin.
I intimidate him.
Make an intimidation check.
But
Do I have to roll something?
Yes, you have to roll a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw.
damn it.
See, I was kind of hoping you were going to use the other portent there, but it didn't
my
matter because
portent wouldn't have helped, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 12, I think. All right. So the sun is beginning to set. You guys are just finishing up the breather you've taken at the foot of this waterfall after the climb down. You've gotten an idea of the locations that are nearby to you, at least as far as what the lizard folk has said now. Is there anything you wanted to ask or do?
Nope.
I say we prepare for the next session.
So what do you want to do to prepare?
Go to sleep.
All right.
He
So you
means
guys are-
actual sleep, dude.
Well, I do as well, but
Okay.
is there anything that you guys are going to do? Are you just going to straight set up camp and then go to sleep? You are going to need to decide who's on watch.
I'll take first watch.
I'll take second.
As a half elf, do you need to, or how long does it take for you to rest, Theon?
A full, long rest?
Well, do you have a property, a racial trait called trance? So Morris
I don't believe
Mindardus
so.
actually offers to take first watch because he says that being an elf, he only needs to sleep for 4 hours, and so he can take first watch while you rest, and
I
then
don't
he
think
can
half
trade
elves
out with
have
you
that.
later.
No, they don't.
Or do you still insist on taking first watch, Morris?
I don't mind taking first watch, and then he can sleep his half time or whatever, and then I can get a full night's rest.
All right.
Okay, then can I just take last watch then?
Well, let's see. It's going to be a full 8 hours, so we can say the watch shifts are about 2 hours apiece. So if it's going to be Morris and then Theon, you're taking third.
Does it really matter?
For me, it does if I get the full.
Well, if we're just sitting around not doing anything, it's still counted as part of the long rest. You don't actually have to be sleeping during the long rest.
Well, as with casters, there has to be some division of time put towards sleep, but in the
Oh.
case, well, but it's not going to be very much. It's like an hour per spell level, I think.
Spell
Or not-
levels, I'm all fine. I haven't cast anything since. I'm
Well, no, but
talking
Pedwin has.
hit dice.
I don't think it matters.
I'll use the same rule, so I'm going to assume that you'll need at least an hour to recover one hit die. So if you stay asleep for I think a minimum of 3 hours, you should get all your hit die back.
But it's only up to half of them, right? Half of your
Yep.
total?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I don't think it matters what watch we take, does it?
Though it matters for perceptions.
Who has the best night vision?
Probably
I've got
Mr. Elf.
60.
Yeah, that would probably either be
So-
Mindardus or Theon.
So you two take the middle two shifts, and Pedwin and I take the outer two shifts. And we each get 2 hours per shift. How's that sound?
Pretty good.
So Mindardus offers to take second watch. So it'll be Morris, Mindardus, Theon, and then Pedwin.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna end there for the night, guys.